San Diego is turning into a rainstorm. Nearly every road coming into our area today was flooded and shut down. It normally takes us 10 minutes to get here. It took about 30 minutes to get here today. But before we get started on the Ferrari, which is awesome, as you can tell by the notorious premium auto styling truck, they are here today to wrap up the front bumper, and they brought the mirrors back, which means we can finally button up the wrap, but it is also Valentine's Day.
What? Is that supposed to be like my cue to say something?
Is that to wrap the front bumper?
That's to wrap.
You brought your own ladders to start?
How are you, man?
Good. Rain, cold, don't like that. I got you what every girl wants for Valentine's Day. You keep your eyes closed and I'll hand it to you.
It's all over Instagram?
Close.
Oh, baby. Oh, it's roses, not cherries. You got me a lip present.
And they're supposed to be like a house piece, and they last for like a really long time.
These last for like a year.
Venus and floor. And lately you've been wearing more necklaces.
Necklaces? Oh, baby.
I love these because these are actually very, very affordable, and it's part of Movement's new line. Any of you guys are trying to get anything last minute for your girls or anything of that sort, Movement has more than just watches now. They have sunglasses, they have necklaces, and of course I have their notorious watches. If you guys want to pick some of these up, like I did for Sabrina for Valentine's Day, you can use my code TJ10 and save yourself 10%.
You've seen it on Instagram, you've seen how crazy it was.
Yeah, if you guys follow Premium on Instagram, which if you don't, it's right here. They took this back and wrapped them because these mirrors, well, I'll let Daniel explain it, but these are not very simple to wrap.
Very, very hard mirror. I didn't want to take the glass out of this mirror when I first talked to you, just because I didn't want to risk breaking this $200 glass here. Yeah. So we left that in. The way we did it is we had to move glass around in order to cover up all the white, at least get as far back as we can.
Obviously, I'll never have
right,
the mirror,
you know, and that's your mirror position, so yeah. It's all red all the way through. This is all one piece. The wrap's not in one piece, but the mirror itself is all white one piece, so there's really no breaks in it. So we had to seam it in a couple different places, but the idea was to hide them where you can't see them. You know, so when this mirror is sitting in place, the seams are on the bottom.
I think when I watched your IG video, you said it was 4 separate pieces, and it's interesting because the magic of wrapping something like this is obviously to make it look like it's not in 4 pieces. And when you look at it, you can't tell, especially on camera, but when you get super up close, you can kind of see where he did his magic. And it's a lot of times like in places where you wouldn't naturally see it. You have to be like under the car looking at it in a certain light to see it, which is like where all the magic comes from.
Yeah, we were selective. We had to look at the mirror and say, okay, this is not seen, this is gonna be somewhere, you know, it's not going to be looked at and look like crap where it seems at, you know? So we had to hide them, and I'm really happy that they came out. Honestly, like, this is an intimidating mirror, and then also, like, other rappers on Instagram were hitting me up like, bro, that's like the worst mirror ever.
Really?
Yeah, and this is my first Ferrari mirror, so shit, I'm happy with them.
Yeah, they look really good. I'm super stoked. And what's awesome is now that we have the mirrors in, the mirrors were actually the last thing holding up most of the interior, because you have to put these mirrors on before you put this whole entire interior panel on, which means we can replace our airbags and kind of move forth on that. Super, super hyped on these mirrors coming in. And also, they are going to be wrapping up this front bumper today, which means by the end of today, we should have a fully wrapped 458. And our hardware is coming in today, which means we can actually start mounting the rest of all of these coolant pieces, AC lines, radiators, shrouds. So really big day today. I'm super excited. Just trying to stay warm from the rain. That's like my main goal right now.
Much easier to take it off than putting it back on.
Once Calvin finishes tightening up this mirror, then we can put the speaker back on, and then we can put this door panel back on. And I will say the door panels on the Ferrari are much easier than any other door panel that I've ever had to deal with. More recently, I've been dealing with a lot with the RX-7 door panels, taking those on and off. And this, as you can kind of see here, there's bolts that go down the whole entire side of the door. And when the door panel goes on, you simply just line it up, and then it's just clear as day. You can tighten every single one, and then there's a clip panel that goes on top of that. Makes it super, super easy and much more structurally sound than normal traditional plastic clips that go into the side of the door.
That's what I was talking about on stream. People were asking me, oh, what's the difference between working on like your BRZ versus the Ferrari? This is what I'm talking about. When you look at this, it's as if someone like myself or someone like yourself decided, I'm gonna make a car, so I'm gonna put it together using what I know, hardware, and avoiding as many clips as possible. It's just like a really nice thing to see that they use like handmade techniques rather than big industrial techniques, which both have have their merit.
When you see lower end cars, you know, being like Toyota or Subaru or even like Mercedes, stuff like that.
Don't say lower.
By lower end, I mean lower price tag. Those cars are made with mass production in mind and the cheapest way to make the cars function, whereas it costs Ferrari more to have hardware like this. At the end of the day, it works so much better than plastic clips that get destroyed after doing it one time. These cars aren't made with the ultimate goal in mind of let's make this car as cheap as possible to make it work. Best most of the time, you know what I mean? It's like the mindset is different, and that's what sets apart these cars from other cars. So we just got our special delivery. I've been waiting on this box for a couple days. We have all the hardware, I think, to put this car back together, or at least start to put the car back together. In the last episode, I talked about wiring being intimidating. I have another form of intimidation to show you. A box full of hardware, and I have no idea if this is like every bolt and nut or just like a collection that they sent us. This bag is labeled at least a little bit, but this whole entire thing is just random hardware. And I know obviously these bushings are for the radiators, so that's like a good start. But other than that, we just finished putting the door panel back together. And literally in like an hour's time, Daniel finished wrapping this front bumper. So we now have a red front bumper. So if I put this on and close the trunk latch, we would have one solid piece. So I don't know if we can do that today or like make it look like the car's on the porch today. I might try to put it down towards the end of the video so we can kind of get a look at it. But that's really exciting. And now that we have this hardware in, I think once we fully finish up this door, we're gonna move on to putting the radiators on the car and just trying to mount some of the stuff up.
We're gonna put a big piece on this car. Front mounted radiator has 3 bushings that need to go in it, but we only have 2 so far. But I see where exactly they go. So if you look here, it attaches to this point, and that point over there.
It's really interesting how these both lay too, because you wouldn't think that this radiator fits in this car until you have it like laying in the exact angle that it's supposed to be in. So you can kind of get a good reference from this side angle here of how it lays in. And we're gonna be starting with the left-hand side of the car because we have the left-hand side of the harness complete, and we're still waiting for some clips to the right-hand side. So we're gonna go ahead and start building back the left-hand side and make our way across. This is also a good testament to see how well the front end of the car was welded on the car. If there was any misalignments or if anything was done incorrectly or if the measurements were wrong, this would not fit as perfect as it does. We literally have just about a centimeter of clearance on every piece of framework around the car, so checks out pretty good so far. So with the radiators mounted, we can actually move on to grabbing the fans for the car. Don't know how these fit quite yet because we haven't even opened them. Oh, these are heavy though.
What a beautiful looking fan.
So as Calvin's tackling the lower right-hand radiators and stuff like that, now with the hardware that we have in, I can go ahead and tackle some of the small baby stuff that we weren't able to do when we didn't have the hardware. It's like almost like the intake for the AC condenser. I don't even know, is that what this is? Let me read it. I don't even know. It's, yeah, air inlet duct for the upper evap inlet, whatever that means. So I know it's this piece. Little small stuff like that that we were kind of stuck behind. And what we actually did notice is, although we did get some stuff in, we will probably have to make a special trip to Ferrari because we still don't have everything. We're actually missing a couple bushings still for the radiators. We don't have the hardware for the shrouds of the radiators, so we're gonna have to make a special trip to Marshall's tomorrow, which is our local hardware store, and pick up some extra stuff. There's a lot of bumps in the road, but we're trying to make sure that we can stay moving as fast as possible because, as you guys have been saying in the videos, like you guys want more, and we're going as fast as we can, but we're like hitting all these roadblocks that just take a couple days to figure out, and a lot of these videos have been filmed over a couple days of filming rather than just one, just because we don't want to just release a video that doesn't have a lot of content in. But we're doing the best we can. So like I said, I'm just taking apart little small things that we can tackle now, although it's not the most exciting, but it still has to get done.
Yeah. No.
Does it go underneath that or down the white thing?
Yes.
Bullshit.
First try. First try, 0 deaths.
Okay, what Calvin's not telling you is that he was telling me to do it a different way. Going down a different route hole. Now doing it, he realized, oh shit, you were not supposed to do it that way. So yeah, now you were able to figure it out.
I never said
that's
any.
so convenient.
You don't have any evidence of what you're saying.
Convenient. Honestly, we should probably have this a little bit more organized because a lot of it's not. And what I thought was over here is actually over there. There's been so many pieces for this car, and we've been like taking them apart and kind of gotten a little bit sloppy with our, not our hardware organization, but our parts organization. which is making this a little bit harder to put back together. But as we kind of get moving here, we're getting a little bit better with it. So Calvin and I have been digging through our hardware bin. Little pointer tips to all you guys out there if you have a home garage. If you ever take apart things or come across old hardware, never ever throw it away. We got one of these little bins from our hardware store. And whenever we have anything left over that see laying on the ground or we pull it off a car, we just throw it in this bin. And it's completely unorganized, and that's kind of the idea of it. It's just a bucket that whenever you ever need hardware, you can always usually rely on finding something, although it may not be matching, you can usually find whatever you need. And as we're going through here, we actually found random pieces of hardware that we could use to fit this like oddly specific size. And then I was like, wait, that looks really similar to the Downstar hardware that we use. And huge shout out to Frank from Downstar, because all the hardware that he sends us for the wide body kits and stuff, we actually keep all of it. And if you aren't familiar, he uses like those rubber walnuts for cars, and it's a great product. We have a bunch of it left over because we keep all of it because it's super nice. And I just found out that we can actually use the hardware on the Ferrari for this radiator and shroud and for our AC condenser. So we got super lucky there. Rather than using a bunch of little bunk hardware, we're gonna use matching hardware, and we need to use washers, so we're gonna use his dress up hardware for it as well. But you're never gonna see it in this car, but it is really cool to think that we're using fancy dress up hardware on the inside of the car that only we will know about. So look at that. That is super, super cool. I'm super, super excited about that. I'm gonna send Frank a picture right now and tell him that he saved the day. So right here we have the AC condenser. I believe we can actually throw on the car right now that we have the shroud and the fans on. Yeah, look at you closing that AC condenser, Cal. Just closing up our lines.
We're buttoning it up. We're here. We made it. That's what we were waiting for.
We're seeing the gates open up. So we have that one. There's one right here. So we have one more new line that we now know where it goes. Going step by step without really any instructions and kind of just seeing the pieces line up and staring at it for so long, getting an idea of where everything goes, and then all of a sudden being like, wait, like I know where that one part goes. It's pretty cool.
This bracket is in the way, or we need to break it, because we could always put a different bracket with
that bracket that's there. My guess is that it's probably for like an under tray or something.
Yeah, so my executive decision would to be break this.
Yeah, I agree.
We can break that off, and then what we can do is do what Ferrari would do.
Let's make our own.
Riv nut some stuff, hardware.
Do our own thing. Yeah.
So
there's a bracket right here and a bracket right here. If you guys remember, this one was broken off, and Calvin tried tapping that one back, and we ultimately decided we were gonna leave it for now. But that's actually getting in the way of this AC line.
It's getting in the way of progress, Tej.
Progress is key right now.
Smash it.
So we're gonna fuck it up. We're gonna take it off and figure out how to fix it later down the line.
Smash it like the like button. Out with the old, in with the AC condenser.
With the driver's side done, we are gonna go ahead and do the passenger side, although we don't have the bushings for it, which we're gonna try to either go to Ferrari tomorrow or we'll just go to a hardware store and see if we can do it ourselves. I am going to just hang these with some zip ties for now, because I would like to mount the oil cooler, and I'd like to see our power steering lines match up to that, and I want to see our oil cooler lines match up to that, just so I can make measurements so we can go tomorrow and build some new ones. So this is not permanent, but it is gonna be our mock-up and test for measurements for now. All right, so this oil cooler, just like the AC condenser, just mounts underneath the radiator. I'm not sure exactly which one it's supposed to be. All right, so we just had a little breakthrough of discovery here. We kind of had some things backwards, and just by staring at it, we actually started to figure this out. This cooler is for the power steering. What I thought this was originally the power steering line, that was incorrect. When we put this up and mocked it up, we realized that this new line that we put in goes in perfect on the lower hand side. And this top line, which I thought was cut right here, that we had to replace, I was actually incorrect. That actually fits right here on top of the power steering cooler, not this line. So when we were staring at this, we're like, well, what is this line? Because this feeds all the way to the back of the car and just goes up into the top of the motor. So we're like, what else needs cooling from the top? And we had a closed radiator system. Our AC line was done. You know, everything was complete. I just put this connecting bar for both the radiators on top here, just to put it there, just to kind of help solve the puzzle. Off of this connecting piece of the radiators is this big, super long hose. Now, this is actually supposed to be flipped. Like I said, have it up here mocked. Nothing's connected to it. But we're sitting here and I'm like, okay, well, what is this super long hose and what is that really long hose? Where does that connect, or what what's the missing piece here. And then as I was looking at our wash bucket, I thought that wash bucket over there was designed right here for the radiator overflow. But as I was reading it, it was only labeled headlight washer. It had nothing to do with radiator overflow. So after looking at these hoses closer, this hose and this hose is actually the same exact thing. So long story short, we actually concluded that this hose actually goes here and runs all the way down and then connects to this. That is our radiator overflow. So that must go to the back of the, which explains why it goes to the back of the car, and then probably overflow tank is in the rear portion of the car. Long story short, once we replace this overflow line and connect all of this, which is all right here, we'll have a completely closed system for the car, meaning our coolant lines are gonna be closed, our power steering lines are gonna be closed, and our overflow line is gonna be sealed, which technically means if we connected all this tomorrow or right now, filled everything up, turned the car on, we would have a safely running 458, which is kind of crazy because when I started today, I still thought we were really far out. But once we kind of started laying all this out, we're like, damn, this is the closed system. We're still missing the trunk piece and some interior pieces, but the fundamentals of the car are actually like a couple hours of work away, and it's dark out now and none of the hardware stores are open, so we can't fix that stuff now, but we're like way closer than I thought. We still have a wiring harness to fix and little baby stuff, but the car's drivability point is here, which is really crazy. We still have a bunch of codes and stuff to clear, and there's a bunch of stuff to do, but it's here. Like, we're actually like knocking on the front door of getting this car on the road. So that being said, I want to thank you guys for watching today's video.
I'm not doing it this time. Sorry, dude.
What?
Peace.
What do you, excuse me, sir.
And keep moving
No,
forward.
no. What?
I have a question.
What? Did you see?
Are you done yet?
We have
Are
a
you
closed
done?
system. We're
Are you
almost
done?
done. We're
It's
almost
not-
done.